Peter's vision, okay? This is Peter's vision. On the morrow, oh, by the way, everybody has different Bibles, don't worry. They're all pretty much similar, but I'll translate everything for you, so don't worry about it. So, verse 9 begins, on the morrow, as they went on their journey and drew near unto the city. So, what happened was, Peter was traveling to visit some friends at somebody's house. And as we go on, then it says, Peter went up to the housetop to pray about the 6th hour. So back in the old days, the houses, they weren't out of 2 floors. If you were rich, you would have stairs. But back in the old days, they had what you call a ladder made out of wood. So you'd climb up and you'd open a hatch and you can go on the roof. And that's what he did. So let's continue. And the 6th hour would be about 12 noon, by the way. Verse 10, and he became very hungry and would have eaten, but while they made ready, he fell into a trance. Okay, this is very important, okay? There's a lot of information in that verse. Number 1, he became hungry. So he was praying up on the rooftop, and he became hungry, but during that time when he was thinking about going to eat, he fell into a trance, which is a hypnotic state, so to speak, okay? So let's go to let's continue on the same verse. He fell into a trance, and verse 11 says, I saw heaven open, and a certain vessel descending unto him. Now, some of your Bibles will say object, okay? But what I want you to focus is, I saw heaven open. What he's saying is, back in the old days, okay, there wasn't no smog, there wasn't no chemtrails, there wasn't no factories that would pollute the air. So when he's talking, I saw heaven open, what he's saying is, I saw clear blue skies. Basically, as far as the eye can see, because the skies were clear. They didn't have smog and all that we have right now with the chemtrails and all that. So that's very important, because he's telling you that there were no clouds. I didn't make a mistake in what I saw. That's what he's saying, okay? So let's go further and find out what Peter's trying to tell us. So I saw a certain vessel or object descending, which means it's coming down, descending unto him, and it had been a great sheet bound by the 4 corners. So he's describing an object descending and bound by the 4 corners. So I told you all to have a piece of paper. Okay, so get it out now. A blank piece of paper, any paper. This is what Peter said. I saw a great sheet. Okay, this is the best thing as he can describe it, because he doesn't know what UFOs are. But he goes further and says, bound by the 4 corners. So you get a sheet of paper, do what Peter says. Bring each corner to itself. And once you get the 4 corners together, kind of looks like a winged aircraft coming down, descending. I don't got it perfectly, but you guys can see it. It goes like this and coming down. So this is a description. He can't show it on TV. He can't show it on social media. He can't show it to the world. Okay, but he can describe it. And he did. So the reason I'm teaching you guys this is because they're going to do a fake alien invasion. Jesus, Peter, the disciples gave you disclosure 2,000 years ago about this stuff. But the world has kept it a secret. Now, when we do have the ascension, Keep in mind how chaotic it's going to be. You're going to have brothers and sisters who are flying planes, and they're going to be raptured. Where is that plane going to go? Now it's a missile. And this is where we talk about, in the end times, when we're going to talk about other stuff, where the stars fell mingled with blood. Okay, well, satellites could fall, hit airplanes. Blood is in there because there's humans that falls to the earth. That's what Jesus told us all these things. And that's what we're going to do, and we're going to reveal this. So let's continue on Peter's vision. Wherein were all manner of four-footed beasts of the earth. So he's saying, inside of this thing, all these creatures are coming out of it. They're coming out of this thing, and he doesn't know what it is because he's never encountered anything like this. So he's memorized by it. He's like, what the heck's going on, man? There's this thing in front of me that I've never seen before. And he's not saying it's Noah's Ark. Noah's Ark, remember, Noah's Ark already happened. So it's not like he said, I saw Noah's Ark come down and all these animals came out of it. No, he said an object came descending down to him, and all these creatures and animals came out of it. Okay? So let's go on with the message. So in it were all manner of four-footed beasts of the earth, and wild beasts, and creepy things, and the fowls. And basically what he's talking about, there were birds, there were all these type of animals, chickens, pigs, you name it. Everything you can think of. And verse 13 says, and there came a voice to him. So Peter hears this voice coming from this object, okay? But he doesn't know what it is, so he just says it's a voice. So of course, it was a loudspeaker talking to him. So you go on and it says, but Peter said, no, so Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean. And again, the second time. And then it goes on to say, what God has cleansed, that shall not call common. And then on verse 16, and the object or vessel was received up again into heaven, which was the sky. So what happened is Jesus, this happened after the death of Jesus, okay? So remember that Jesus taught the disciples and told the world that he accepts everybody, okay? Not just the Jews, like the God of the Old Testament. The God of the Old Testament never proclaimed his love for the Jews. Let me take that back. He never proclaimed his love for mankind. He only proclaimed his love for the Jews, okay? Jesus, in this story, what he was telling Peter, he gave Peter the bread, he gave Peter the food, and he gave Peter the steak and potatoes, as I call it. So the bread in the message is that Jesus was saying, look, the animal representation represented all races of the world. So what Jesus was saying, don't call unclean what my Father has called clean. Basically telling them, I don't care what the God of the Old Testament told you. I don't care what he has taught. We accept everybody. Okay? That's what was the message in there. Then the other message was that the food that the Jews proclaim that are dirty, that's their God that said that. You can eat over here. We're not going to forbid you from that stuff. They may forbid you on that side, but we're not forbidding you because this is food. This is nourishment. Okay? And then the last, which was divulged, which was the meat and potatoes, was I just described to you the UFO. So that is what ministers can't preach. That's the type of stuff that they don't see because they don't have the Spirit of Jesus within them. They can't because they don't understand it. And they didn't take their time to learn it. It took me 7 years to learn this stuff. Non-stop. Okay, so I know what I'm talking about. And let's go back to Peter, okay? Because I want to show you how rattled up Peter really was, because his story continues. Believe it or not, this is not over. We're going to another chapter where Peter's going to tell his story again of what he saw to other people, because he couldn't believe what he saw. He saw a miracle right before his eyes. So let's jump now to chapter 11. And we're going to start with verse 4. Okay? Chapter 11, actually verse 5. I was in the city of Joppa praying, and in a trance, which is a state of shock, I saw a vision. A certain vessel, object, descending as it has been a great sheet let down from heaven by the four corners, and it came even to me. So he's calling it an it. He's not saying it's Noah's Ark or it's somebody. He says in it. Okay, that's the only, he doesn't know what it is, so he can't give it a name. He's never seen it, but he's describing it. And then it goes on where he heard a voice to tell him to eat, which we already been through that. So, Peter is so rattled up by what he witnessed days ago that he's repeating it to new people, telling the story that this object descended from the ground. I mean, from the sky, it descended to the ground, where then all these animals came out of it. And he goes on to say it in chapter 11. So it doesn't only talk about it, the experience that he had on chapter 10, but he goes on because this is how much it bothered him. This is how much it did a dent in his life. He was scared. He was terrified. And this is what's going to happen during the rapture and ascension. A lot of people are going to be terrified, but they shouldn't be terrified, because Jesus disclosed this to you 2,000 years ago. This is what I told you from the beginning in regards to government disclosure. You don't need the government disclosure. The truth is already here. The truth was already given to you 2,000 years ago. Everything that I'm telling you